Ants are incredibly good builders, and when they work together, they can build some amazing structures. Here are the top 10 unbelievable ant buildings. Number 10. The Rafts of the Amazon. Fire ants are fascinating, and they can construct buildings with their very own bodies, including rafts. Because fire ants are native to wet climates, they have found a way to survive floods. When a monsoon hits, the ants escape their nest within minutes and then band together to form a raft. They use their bodies for buoyancy by flexing and extending their legs like springs. They are able to float around objects and can stay afloat for weeks. They link together at so many points of contact that they have been likened to the weave of a fabric. They keep their queen and eggs safely perched on the driest part of the raft in the middle. The ants will float on their self-formed raft until they reach dry land. Number 9. The army ant bridges. Army ants are aggressive and migratory. Their colonies can consist of millions of ants, but unlike other types of ants, they do not build permanent homes. Instead, they move through the Costa Rican jungle at night to forage for food, which they steal from other insect colonies. To reach other insect colonies, which are usually high up in the trees, army ants build massive bridges with their bodies. Some of the ants will form the structure of the bridge and stay stationary while other ants steal the food and bring it back across the bridge. They will not build a bridge bigger than their colony can support though. If too many ants are needed to build the bridge, then not enough ants will be left to gather the food. Somehow, intuitively, they know how big of a bridge they can build, and so the length of their bridge depends on the size of their colony. Number 8. Australian meat ants. Also known as the gravel ant, Australian meat ants construct unbelievable mounds in large, open areas. Their mounds are usually oval-shaped, and they use a variety of pebbles, gravel, and dead vegetation to construct these buildings. The mounds consist of numerous entrances, which can be seen as small holes all over the mounds. But interestingly enough, each hole leads to its own separate gallery, and these individual galleries are not connected within the mounds. Large colonies, though, will build several mounds and connect the mounds through paths on the ground. Depending on the size of the colony, there can be dozens of mounds built, and super nests can have nests connected by paths up to 2,130 feet long. Before we move on, be sure to subscribe to Daily Top 10s with notifications on. Number 7. Weaver ants. Weaver ants are arboreal, which means they live in trees, so the unbelievable buildings that these ants construct are found high above our heads. Their buildings are elliptical in shape, and they are built by connecting leaves with silk produced by their larvae. To build their nests, they pull on leaves, fold them, and then attach the leaves together with the silk. Some of their nests can be up to 1.5 feet in length, and if their colony is large, they may have several of these nests spanning several trees. They are quick workers and can build a nest in under 24 hours, which is beneficial since their tree-dwelling nests are prone to damage from wind and storms. Their nests do not last long though, and they are constantly rebuilding new homes. Number 6. The yellow meadow ant. The yellow meadow ant constructs unbelievable and complex buildings that sprawl across the meadows of Central Europe. Most of the construction happens underground and can be as deep as 3.5 feet. But above their nests, they also build a dome-shaped structure on top. This dome-shaped structure regulates the temperature of their underground nest. Furthermore, the top of their nests help to protect the chalk-hill blue butterfly. The ants provide protection for the butterfly, and in exchange, the butterfly provides them with a sugary substance that they use as a food source. Number 5. The black ant. Although the outwardly appearance of a black ant building is not overly impressive, the way in which they build their nests is unbelievable. Scientists have discovered that black ants build their homes through the use of pheromones. A black ant will take a piece of soil and form it into a pellet. From there, several ants join together and take their pellets to form a pillar. Their pillars are equally spread out in distance, and once the pillar is tall enough, they use more soil to cover the tops of the pillars, creating roofs and arches. But they attract each other by inserting pheromones into their pellets. The pheromones tell the other ants that it's time to build, as other ants pick up on these pheromones. These ants join the process, insert their own pheromones, and attract more ants. Number 4. Anthill art. Since the majority of extraordinary ant buildings are built underground, people have developed a way to see the complex structures for themselves. Anthill art has become increasingly popular, both as an art form and as a way for scientists to learn more about unbelievable ant buildings. The anthill artist uses molten aluminum and pours it into the top of an anthill. From there, the artist waits for the aluminum to harden. Once the aluminum has hardened, the artist carefully excavates the solidified aluminum by scraping away at the surrounding ground. The result is a real-life replica of an anthill. Anthill art can be anywhere from 2 to 20 pounds and can stand as tall as 3 feet. Some artists mount their aluminum anthills and use them for display. They are both beautiful and fascinating, as they allow a real-life glimpse into the complex and unbelievable underground ant buildings. Number 3. The Leafcutter Ant City of Brazil. In 2010, a massive underground ant city was discovered by a team of scientists led by Luis Forgi. The underground city was 500 square feet and 20 feet deep. The city was completely abandoned, with not a single ant in sight. But scientists believe that at one time the city was home to millions and millions of ants. In fact, some scientists believe it could have been the largest colony the world has ever seen. The city was a masterpiece, with a complex ventilation system, numerous ramps, tunnels, paths, and highways. It even had a garden for growing fungus and dedicated pits for rubbish. The ants had to move 88,000 pounds of soil to build this city. Because the city was abandoned, scientists seized the opportunity to learn more about this city. They poured thousands of pounds of concrete into the city and waited for it to solidify. From there, they carefully excavated the concrete. The result is the biggest replica of a real-life ant building in the current world. Number 2. Fire ant towers. Fire ants don't just build rafts with their bodies, they also build unbelievable towers. When their homes flood and their rafts have found land, they build a temporary shelter with their bodies. They place the queen and eggs inside the center of the tower for protection. All they need to build the tower is a stick or a blade of grass or anything else stationary. It was thought at one time that the ants themselves were stationary while in the tower, but scientists have recently discovered that the ants in the tower are continually moving. They climb up the outside of the tower and down the center of it, like the flow of a fountain in reverse. To achieve these amazing structures, the ants follow a few simple rules. They do not move if an ant is on top of them. If they are the top ant, they will keep moving until they find an open spot. Once they find an open spot, they nestle in and link up with the other ants. And there cannot be more than 3 ants on top of any one ant at any time. Fire ant towers have allowed the fire ant to survive harsh environmental conditions, and their towers are both bold and unbelievable. Number 1. The Argentine Supercolony. An ant supercolony was discovered in Europe in 2010. Up until then, the largest ant supercolony ever known was the Hokkaido, Japan supercolony. But the supercolony discovered in Europe superseded the previous supercolony by staggering numbers. The European supercolony, which is comprised of Argentine ants, stretches for 3,731 miles along the Mediterranean and Atlantic coasts. It spans from northern Italy to the south of France, to the Atlantic coast of Spain. Inside the supercolony are millions of nests built by billions of ants. The ants all nurse their young inside this colony and share their food sources. The European Argentine ant supercolony is the largest cooperative of ants ever discovered. The sheer size of this supercolony is borderline incomprehensible, and it's difficult to imagine just how unbelievable this underground structure really is. Which is why we have given the European Argentine ant supercolony first place on our list of 10 unbelievable ant buildings. Check out our previous videos on the top 10 floating islands and the top 10 fattest wild animals. And remember to subscribe to Daily Top 10s with notifications on so you don't miss any of our videos.